What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart, or Professor Stewart, depending on how you know me. Welcome back to another edition of Dope People, the podcast. And we are not letting you down yet again with another certified dope person.
Jared Armstead-Jones
has joined us on the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jones.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Jones has been a middle school teacher. He's out of St. Louis. He's been doing his thing for about 15 years or so. And his passion is those knucklehead teenagers.
For sure.
Helping them thrive in character and in the books. Matter of fact, our guest today has published a book, a novel, in fact, called My Invisible Father. Actually, I have a copy of it right
here. Oh, yeah. That's it.
Boom.
That's it.
Get your own. It's about three teens who are missing their fathers in different ways, but they don't even realize how much they are the same. Man, I can't wait to get into it. I'm not gonna front like I you know how you get on those interviews and people say, I read your book, and I can't even front. I can't front and say that, people. But we're gonna drop the links where you can get it. I recommend. Look, if I got it, I recommend you get it. You can find them all over the place. Goodreads, Instagram. He's got his own website.
Yep.
And he believes that reading breathes life into the soul of your imagination. Welcome to the show.
All right, glad to be here. And y'all can just call me Jaer. Just call me Jaer. That's my name that I adopted when I decided to do this book thing. You know, I actually changed my my last name in a sense to Armstead-Jones in reverence to my stepfather and my biological father. So, you know, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna change the whole flip right there. So Jaer Armstead-Jones. Armstead was my late father's last name, and I was his only son. And you know, Jones had been my name forever. My stepfather, I took his name when I was like 4 years old when my parents got married. So yeah, just call me Jaer, and I'm ready to roll.
Jaer pulled the yay on us, people. Before Ye was doing it, Jaer set the tone for Ye to do a yay. That's what's up.
Them Chicago people.
Yeah, well, you know. Y'all got Nelly, we got.
Yeah.
Before we get into why you're on Dope People, you know, obviously you're dope. But the people need to understand and experience your dopeness, which they will today. We're gonna do a friendly game of this or that.
Okay.
This or that. Are you prepared for a
few
rounds?
You're not prepared, but we're gonna do it anyway.
You're not prepared. So, are you familiar with the game?
I'm pretty sure it's just you're gonna give me an option of two things, and which one would I prefer? Which is my choice? All right,
that's really it.
I can do that.
Okay, I won't do that. I won't.
Bring it. Bring your best.
All right. Well, I'll do the best that I can. Let's ease into it.
All right.
Summers or winter?
Oh, summers all day. Wow. And y'all up in Chicago, and I know y'all feel it, but I be feeling it down here too. So summers all day. Yeah.
I'm not I mean, winters can get tough, but I don't, you know, I'm excited about the winter too.
Okay.
Summer. Nights on the town or evenings at home?
I'm an introvert all over. Introvert. I'm staying at the crib unless my wife dragged me out. I'm staying at the crib.
Android or iPhone?
I've been on iPhone for the last I don't know, 5 years maybe, and I'm kind of stuck right now. I'm stuck with it.
So you said iPhone?
iPhone, yeah.
Digital or analog? I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's right. Digital or
Digital or
analog?
analog. Gotta be digital. Gotta be digital. I was talking to my kids about old TVs yesterday, and I was like, man, I can't go back to that. Can't go back. But anything digital is where I'm at.
Audio books or paper books?
Ooh, dang, that's a good one. Because I'm always doing both at the same time. I'm listening to one audio book and then I'm reading a whole different book. So it's hard for me. Uh, I will say, only reason I'll say audio is because I'm always busy. Like that's the way I can get some books in. But I love having that book in my hand and reading it, So I do them both, If I'm in the car, I'm listening to one. And if I'm at home or I'm at school, I'm reading. So,
wow.
But I have to say audio just because I'm so busy. Sometimes I walk around the house with my headphones on, listen to books. So I go audio for now.
Okay. Podcasts or TV shows?
Well, dang, I ain't never been on no TV show, so I'm gonna have to say podcast.
Wow.
Now I can't wait till that day where I can say TV show. Yeah. And as far as my own entertainment, I think I do watch a little bit more TV than I listen to podcasts, but yeah, they both legit. They both legit. Okay.
Here's the final one. Well, I have two more. This is almost the second to final one.
Okay.
Streaming new movies at home or going to the theater?
Once again, my wife drugged me to the theater last week. I'm so happy I didn't fall asleep because that's what I do all the time when I go to movies. And now they got them comfy, relax, lean back. I was like, man, I told her, I say, I might not make it, but I made it. I made it. But no, I'm always, I'd rather be at the crib. I'm always in the house streaming something if I'm going to do it.
All right, so here we go. This is our last one.
All right.
Teachers or principals?
Oh, which one would I rather be or which one do I like?
Which one? That's the clarifying question. That's an educator, y'all. He wants to clarify the question.
I need that.
Who do you support more, teachers or principals?
That's hard because I support teachers because I know how much teachers need support. But all the principals I've had have been dope and supported me like crazy. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those. I would never want to be a principal, like never, ever. So I respect what they do, but I could never do it. But yeah,
I'm saying teachers. You're saying teachers, then that's it.
I'm saying teachers. Teachers. I'm saying teachers. Yeah.
I guided you that way. You was about to try to ride the fence, straddle the fence.
You're right. You're right, because I don't know who's listening. I might have some coworkers and some principals listening to this, so I gotta wave that fence, bro.
That's right. Well, look, we're all educators.
Yes, sir.
And I don't mind poking and prodding on that question.
Like
teachers or principals, because you're right. Principals have a tough job. This podcast is designed for educational leaders. You are an educational leader because of the work that you're doing to help teenagers thrive. How are you different than the average teacher?
I really thrive on just trying to make sure I have great relationships with my kids. I don't look 51 years old, but I am. But I still know how to vibe a little bit with those teenagers, and I find different tools. Some days they may come in and on the big screen, I got a music video playing. Some days they come in on the big screen, I got last night's basketball game just as they walking in for them little 5 minutes before class start, and we talking hoops, we talking music, right? And then I think a lot of that allows them that once that bell rings, I ain't even gonna say respect. I just feel like the relationship that we have, that they can vibe with what I'm teaching, and they really, I see it in their eyes, like they don't want to disappoint me, right? This is not 100% across the board, obviously, but the majority of them, they just look like they want to do what's right because, Mr. Jones really cares about our lives. When I talk to them about their soccer games, their basketball games, I just feel like 15 years in the game, I was so, in tuned on the academic part my first couple of years that I didn't really get to know my kids that well. So I just kind of flipped the script a little bit. It's like, we're gonna get to the academics, but me and you, we got a vibe. Now we're not friends, but we can still talk about things that you are involved in. I send them emails on their birthday. So just let them know, yo, I'm here. Happy birthday. Have a great day. See you on Monday. Right. So I think, and I'm pretty sure a lot of teachers already do that. So I don't know if that necessarily separates me, but I just find those few ways that to get to them that maybe others wouldn't be able to. So yeah, I would say that's one of the things that really helps me thrive in that.
Yeah, I would, and I'm obviously, I have some classroom experience. No, you're not the only teacher that does that, but not all teachers spend time to vibe out and connect with their students. That's just a truth. So many teachers are inundated with the mandates of the principal or the district. So many teachers feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We're experiencing that some teachers are just so frustrated that getting to know the students becomes last priority.
Yeah,
that's just This is my show. I can say what I want to say.
you telling the truth though.
I'm telling the truth. I know. I know I'm speaking the truth.
Yeah.
I know I'm speaking the truth. So what does, and we're going to talk about your book in a little bit because I think your book is important to who you are as an educator and how you continue to deepen those connections with your students. But before we talk about your book, My Invisible Father, how has education changed in the last couple of years from your perspective? How has teaching changed? How has the delivery of education changed for you in the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, especially where we are now with this pandemic, I spent all last year on my, family room couch teaching kids, like the whole year. We had a moment like early November where parents had an option. They can send their kids back to school or keep them virtual. So we had about 70, 75 kids that stayed, and I was one of their teachers. And it allowed me to see how much technology, we always talked about technology this, technology that, but we really didn't understand it until that pandemic, until COVID hit. Like, okay, how important technology really is. So that change has made me understand, that the way kids learn is different from the way we used to learn. And we have to hit them with what works best for them. There are some purists that say, you know what, it's gonna be this way, and this is the way it's gotta work. It works for me, and that's just. But no, man, they Snapchat and all these social medias that they on, they're quick and fast. TikTok, it ain't long drawn out. They don't watch long movies anymore. They don't watch whole basketball games. They watch highlights, right? So as much as we hate to kind of cater to that, we as educators have to start catering to who they are just so they can receive it, because we got to realize that this is not about us, it's about them. And we got our degrees, right? We did all our learning, and we want to expect them to learn the way we did is kind of foolish thought.
Wow.
It is, because it's a whole, and I'm pretty sure teachers from the 50s can say the same thing about us when we was in school in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different vibe. So I think over the last couple of years, we've really been able to see that we have to approach this in a different way, and in a way that, really touches, the kids' hearts, but also touches their eyes, their ears, as well as their minds.
In your experience, are school leaders, principals, superintendents, are they understanding of that? What has been your experience? Has that been an easy sell, or has it been a slow, difficult sell? Which one has it been for you?
I would say it's been a slow but not so difficult sell. This is my second district. I was in my first district for 9 years, and then I've been in this district for 5 now. And in my experience, I see that administrators understand where we are when it comes to teaching kids now. So they are trying to implement these things gradually. The big push for us in our district is diversity, really trying to hone in on our people of color, our kids, our students of color. I teach in a district that's 75% white, 25% color, and people of color. So it's been a big push in these last couple of years that we need to diversify. We need to get books that have Black protagonists in them, and Hispanic authors, and Asian American little girls. Like we're trying to implement this, and they, for the most part, allowed us to pick these items out and go out there and encouraging us to do that. So, the whole technology thing, the whole just diversity thing, everything that we are trying to do, I think, our administrators are really pushing for that. Unfortunately, in some cases, parents are against it, right? There are some parents who feel like we should be doing it the traditional way. There are parents who are saying, like, don't inundate the African American stories in our schools, and so it's teeter totter. But I think for the most part, I can say in my district that our leaders are really pushing for this innovative teaching.
I recently made a statement that TikTok is the new educational platform. Mm. I have learned so much on TikTok, whether it's meal prep, a life hack, a travel secret, an investing tip, a real estate, a carpentry, a arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that being translated to students, picking that up and paying attention more to TikTok and Instagram to learn things? And how do you see that affecting your work as a teacher?
So, personally, I have a TikTok account, but I've probably been on it like 3 times since I've had it, but I have a 16, soon to be 17-year-old daughter. So I hear it all from her. She shows me stuff, and she's, some of the silly stuff she showed me, I'm like, that's not funny. That's not funny, right? But it's funny to her. It's funny to them. So I'm like, okay. But she's also shown me some things, or talked to me about some things that she's learned, like cooking, so she knows where to grab that information from. So, I look at TikTok, I look at social media, just like everything else. There's some good, there's some bad, and you just take the good with the bad, and hopefully use the good for not only for goodness sake, but to learn something. And there are some teachers who are on TikTok that I know, and they talk about it, and they try to bring some of those things that they're learning on TikTok into the classroom. And I support that 100%. I've even had opportunities where we would allow students to turn in an assignment as a TikTok video.
Yeah,
right.
Man.
So it's like, we got to use it, because it ain't going nowhere anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
So
teachers, I encourage teachers to put more lessons on TikTok.
Yeah.
I want the teachers to have the challenge of condensing a lesson, a 45-minute lesson, condense it to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And so I think part of my work, it'll keep me in business, but part of my work, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, is to eliminate the need for teachers in the traditional sense. Now, it's like, what the hell is this? Because it's almost like you don't need a prerequisite to teach. If you have a gift, which we all have, and you've tapped into your gift, share it. You can find a way to monetize it, but share that gift, right?
Yeah.
And which brings me to my next question of so I'm always talking about the economy of the future. What do jobs of the future look like? And I think they look very, very, very different than how we were raised in our generation, for sure. I'm actually believing more and more that you actually will be able to work less while still maintaining a lifestyle of your choice. We can talk about that at a later time. But do you think college is as important today or tomorrow as it has been in the past?
It depends on who is looking for prospects. I believe personally that there's a remnant of people who have, like you say, that talent, that gift, that don't really need college. And we've seen it over the years. All these guys some of these guys who are billionaires and don't have a college degree, right? It happens. I just believe, as you said, that job situation will be different as we move on into the future, that some of these companies will start thinking outside the box as well. My 4 kids, I was like, y'all going to college. And one of them tried it, didn't like it, dropped out. So maybe we shouldn't have forced him to go to college. Maybe we should have just said, okay, you don't want to go, because he didn't want to. Like, he told us that in middle school, he didn't want to go to college. But when he graduated high school, it was like, bro, just go to community college for 2 years, get an associate's, and you good. All right. And then you can make decisions after that. But he didn't, he just couldn't vibe with it. Right. So maybe we should have honed in on his gifts and say, okay, go to one of these, go to a trade school, go to a school, or just get it, just find your gift and go somewhere where you can sharpen that gift.
Yeah.
And because college is not for everyone, right? So I think we as parents need to realize that, but then our economy, our jobs have to realize that as well, and be able to use students or people or men and women who may not have a 4-year degree, but they got that skill that they can do at that job, So I'm always going to push education, but I also understand that you don't have to have an education to be successful in something.
Oh, that's big. That's big. Yeah. I tend to agree with that. Obviously, I started off, but I'm glad to hear. Well, I don't want to be super biased, but I it's interesting to hear you put it that way. And I do think that's important. And we know it to be true. You can go to school to be a plumber. You can go to school. We need plumbers. We need mechanics.
Yeah.
We need people to do all kinds of things, build homes, construction, and
absolutely
all that stuff, electricians. And we need other types of laborers as well. We need service people. We need, civil people to work those police jobs or whatever those jobs may be.
Yeah.
And of course, we still need doctors and attorneys and things of that nature, dentists, of course. So we can go on and on with that.
Right.
So you talked about the difficulty in finding culturally relevant books. You didn't say those exact words, but I'm paraphrasing in my own words a little bit.
Absolutely.
And then you have written a book. What inspired you to write My Invisible Father? Turn on the light to see the unseen. What inspired this book? And how has it impacted your relationship with your students? Because you teach
Well,
English, correct?
that's correct. Yeah, I teach reading
You're
and
an
writing.
English teacher.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, many years ago, I would say, well, let me start all the way from the back. I wanted to be a writer at the age of 13 years old. And but I also wanted to be a teacher at the age of 13 years old, which is crazy. But my first year of high school, I'm sorry, first year of college, I decided to switch from being a teacher to being a writer because that was I just couldn't, I just had to do it. So that's the route I took. But even at that time, I didn't want to be a fictional writer. I wanted to write for newspapers. I wanted to write for magazines because that's all I read as kids. I didn't read novels. I'm trying to get these 12 and 13-year-olds to read novels, but I let them know, hey, when I was your age, I didn't. And
Right.
part of that could have been because like them wasn't novels I really wanted to read. I didn't want to read about that stuff, right? So I wanted to be a journalist, basically. That's what I went to school for. And fast track it, a dozen years or so, I decided I wanted to write a book, but I wanted to write a nonfiction book about parenting. Once I started having kids and just understanding and realizing the importance of that position as a father, I wanted to write a book about being a father, right? How to lead your kids, how to teach your kids, how to lead them down the right road. Well, soon after that, I got divorced. So now I have, young kids, but my whole life switched, shaken, right? So I got to start doing some new things to just stay afloat financially and even emotionally and spiritually, because it just rocked my boat, right? So I just stopped thinking about writing the books. I'm thinking about, I got to get a job. I got to get, I need time with my kids. I got to make sure I got insurance for them. Got to try to pay off this house because I'm here by myself. So my whole book writing thing was like, and even at that time I was into music. I was, trying to produce a rap group at the time as well. Had a studio in my basement, and we finna drop this CD and see where it goes. And bam, as soon as I got divorced, I was like, y'all, I got to step back for a minute because I'm just not there. I can't do it. So I just put all of that to the side and just tried to grind and get back on top. And so when I started teaching, I started having this unction again to write a book. But I realized, a nonfiction book about parenting is cool. But now I worked in a juvenile facility with kids for 3 or 4 years. And then right after that, I started teaching. So my heart was always for kids because I was a youth minister for a while as well, right before I got divorced, basically. And my heart was for these kids. So I said, you know what? Instead of writing this book about parenting, why don't I write a book about parenting, but for kids and not necessarily for parents? So that's kind of how that came about. And in this book, My Invisible Father, we got 3 teens who are missing their fathers. And I want to show the importance of fatherhood to these kids through this book.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. There's a passage in there where one of the kids, Jalen?
Jaron. Yep.
There's something to the effect of, I always thought I had it bad. I didn't have my father until I died, and then I realized I ain't have it so bad after all.
Yep.
What was that about?
So that was Jaron started doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, and he blamed a lot of it on not having a father figure.
Okay. Wow.
And I wanted kids to see that, yeah, some of us are in some bad places. We don't have fathers, but that don't mean that you can't do it. That don't mean you can't make it, because a part of that book that I wanted to write had to do with mentorship. It would have been called the 5 Fathers of Society.
Wow.
The 5 Fathers Society are your biological father, your stepfather, adoptive fathers, God the Father, and then just mentors, right? Those are those five fathers.
We should have led with this.
But yeah, so that was what, I was trying to get across with that statement is, even if you don't have a biological father, even if you might have an adoptive father, you might have a stepfather, if nothing else, do you got God in your life? Yeah. And then all past that, do you have a mentor? Do you have a coach? Do you have a teacher? Do you have an uncle? Do you have somebody that can help lead and guide you, even if you don't have your biological father there with you?
You and I have had some conversation around mental health. And mental health. I'm also a divorced father. Mm-hmm. And I have a son who is currently in 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And, he's active. He plays, is really good at basketball. Way better than I've ever been at basketball. Mm-hmm. My son's got me faded. He's on 2 different teams. And
okay.
How can you tell, or what do you suggest to young people? I know our audience is mostly adults, educational leaders for the most part. Many of us are our parents. Mm-hmm. But talk to us about what we need to understand about our young men and women and their mental health.
Yeah, and it's crazy. This statement is going to sound crazy, but mental health is really in right now, right? And what do I mean by that? People are really starting to see that it's not just some fad, it's not just some figment of imagination, that it's real. And our kids, if we don't hear them when they are having mental health issues or thoughts or problems, then it goes from one level to the next. And you never know what that next level is. We won't know until they get there, and it could be too late. I have a son who has mental health issues. He's 25 right now, but he's been dealing with them for a really long time. And I know many times I just had to hold him while he cries. Like, I didn't know what to say because I was not very versed on it. And then I realized that there are people out there who are versed on it. So you got to get help. You got to go to those people. But no matter what, as a father, as a teacher, I'll be here. I'll be an ear for you. I'll hug you. I'll hold you. You can cry on my shoulder. But you need to get help from those that are designed to get help. After my divorce, I started seeing a counselor because I was a wreck. Like, my mental health was gone. It was crushed. And that, those months of sessions allowed me to see that I can't do this on my own. And we got to let our kids know that they can't try to do it on their own as well when they're having those issues. Otherwise, it becomes a greater and greater snowball. And a lot of them keep it inside. That's what's scary. They don't let others know because maybe the stigma or whatever. So it's a tightrope that we're all walking, but I'm glad the conversations are taking place.
One of that's significant that you share that. One of the things I heard recently, because I'm from the generation where kids were to be seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. And for a lack of better term, the adults in my purview at the time, my ecosystem, were very dismissive of kids and their feelings. No disrespect to all my aunts and uncles out there.
Yeah.
No disrespect. And maybe dismissive isn't the right term, but it's the term that I can use to get your attention with. Mm-hmm. But it was always, what problems do you have? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You ain't got no problems. All you got to do is go to school. Mm-hmm. You got everything else for you. You should be thankful. You should be grateful.
Yeah.
And I admit to having shared some of those same sentiments
Mm-hmm.
with my own children.
Mm-hmm.
What problems could you possibly have? All you got to do is go to school.
Yeah.
But that ain't the case, because we think, for example, and I'll use this as an example because we both share this, this is our divorce. This ain't your divorce. What you tripping for? This is adult stuff.
Right.
And kid stuff. What you worried about? It has an effect on them.
Yes.
And I think what we can talk, one of the takeaways from this as parents and teachers, is recognizing that the things that adults do, even though they may or may not be abusive, because that's another term that's going around, verbally abusive, mentally abusive.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in our lives affects the kids. You miss a mortgage payment, a house payment, and let the kid know, they are worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
They are worried about you missing a light bill payment, or they take that on. Yeah. And if we're too dismissive, then we could miss the boat and have some kids that are holding in some things that they don't deserve to be holding in and not knowing what to do with those emotions. So I'm glad you were able to share that. Any other comments about that? Because I know that's something that's near and dear to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an issue where, or situation, I should say, where teaching over these last, umpteen years, and you hear about the stories about kids who don't even want to go to school. And it's not because it's too hard. It's not because they don't want to wake up in the morning. It's because they're emotionally dealing with stuff, just stuff. And I've had parents who say, she's in the car with me now, she's crying, and she just won't get out the car. They're not scared of anybody. They're not, they're not getting bullied. They're having emotional, mental issues at that time that are, I'd rather say mental health issues. I think that's different from mental issues. I really believe, and it baffles me. It's like, man, I just don't understand. But at the same time, I just feel so bad for those kids. My heart just goes out to them. It's not something I can understand. I never felt that way. But it happens. And we as adults, parents, teachers, administrators, we have to find those solutions, those helpful outlets for our kids. Because if we don't, it's like, where are they going to get it from? And unfortunately, they can get it from places that can lead them down a spiral. Yeah. Even if it's them themselves, suicide thoughts and drugs and alcohol, all those things can just start filtering in when they don't know what else to do and what else to think.
Jared, what do you want school leaders to know about the work that you do? What do you want them to do to make your job easier?
Wow, that's a loaded question there.
Well, let's let it rock, man. Let that thing go, man.
That is it. Yeah. So
I mean, you're not gonna get fired behind it. Nobody's gonna reprimand you behind you. You have freedom of speech here.
I hear you. I would say
this will not incriminate you.
I would take that. Absolutely. I believe that, teachers, I hear a lot of teachers saying, we're not getting support. And I really wish we would start being more deliberate and specific with that sentiment. We're not getting support, because there's some types of support that I may need, that other teachers may not need, and some other teachers may need, and I may not need. So for me to be the best that I can be, first of all, I would honestly would like for my administrators to come in my classroom more, just so that I can, just do my thing and then they give me feedback. Now, I'm not saying that never happens. That it obviously happens, but I would like to see it more. I would like to see their presence in my classroom more. Now, I know we got 1,100 students in our building or whatever. It, you can't expect it that much, right? You just got to take what you can. Um, but that's just one of those things that when I see my principals in my class and seeing those kids doing that work, now it takes it to another level of, it's not just about numbers and test scores and standardized stakes testing. It's about, what are these kids doing on a daily basis? What are they talking about? What are they getting inside of them? And then what can they spit out to me? So I would like for, my administrators, I would like for any administrators to really evaluate not really teachers, but students. And I know that's kind of not really their role, but I would like to see that more and more often.
So, and you don't necessarily mean formative assessments.
No, not necessarily, but
mean,
just talk. Just, hey, let's just talk. What's going on?
Mhm.
How you doing? How you feeling? What you learning? And I know they've done that. I know they have, but I would like to see more of that. Each unit, every unit, let me talk to some of these kids and see what they're learning in this unit, see what they've retained. So that I know if I'm doing a great job. Now, I think I'm doing a great job. I believe I am. I've been told I am.
You dope. You are dope, brother.
So
you are dope.
But I would like that translation to come from those kids, because adults telling me I'm doing a great job is one thing, but a kid telling another adult that I'm doing a great job, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I used to always, as a classroom teacher, even now when I go in schools, adults, the principal, assistant principal ask, "How was the session today?" I always say, "Ask the kids. Ask the kids," because I'm biased. I'm gonna tell you, on my worst day, I'm gonna tell you it was dope. You know what I mean? Like, man, it was great. Ask the kids. They're gonna tell you the truth.
Yes, sir.
Every single time, they're gonna tell you the truth. Final thoughts, man. And now this, you thought that last question was a loaded question. This is a loaded one.
Oh, okay.
What's the one thing you want your peers to know? Your peers.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one thing you want your peers and parents of students to know?
Know about me, or know?
You want them to know,
just
period.
Period. Wow.
You want them to know.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, okay, let me clean it up.
Okay.
What's the one thing you want your peers and parents of your students to know about the work that you're doing?
Okay, I love that. All right. I want them to know two things. One, that, and they're kind of meshed together. I want them to know that I am transparent with those students, in a sense where, obviously can't be 100% transparent, but I try to bring my life into the classroom as much as I can.
Yeah.
I try to let them know my faults to a degree. I let them know things I've struggled with as pertaining to the lessons that we're having, right?
Yeah.
Not just off the cuff, just talking about stuff, but pertaining to that lesson so that they can make a connection with that lesson, my life, and then say, well, how can that lesson affect my life as well, as a 13-year-old, as a 12-year-old, or someone who wants to get into college, someone who wants to play sports in high school or get a college scholarship to play basketball, or who wants to be into music, who wants to write, who wants to be a teacher. I want them to see me, who I am, my overall being, me as a teacher, me as a father, me as a husband, me as a hooper, me as a writer, here I am, right? So I want them to see that. And I think part of that is being at one time being a youth minister. I had to be that way. I had to expose myself to the kids in a way that they see that I'm real.
Yeah.
Because if they see that I'm real, they're more likely to follow me. So that's one thing I want, my parents to understand that. And I do that because I want the parents to also know that, hey, I mean, even if I say I love your kids, it's in a different way, but I really do. I love everything about them, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. If I just liked them, I don't think I'd be doing this because I want to do something that I'm passionate about. And that's where that love takes over. If I like it, I'm not that passionate about it. I like asparagus, but I ain't that passionate about it, right? But I love ice cream.
Right.
So I'm going all out for that ice cream when it's in my freezer. I'm going all out for your kids, right? So that's what I want them to know.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And that is good that the students know that you care enough to be open about your life and your experiences, and maybe they can see themselves in you in some capacity.
Yes.
Well, man, we're at the end of our show today. But
So
before we go, hot heat. You know about hot heat?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
What is hot heat, brother? Tell us about hot heat.
Hot Heat. Hot Heat is a song that actually, we did this song back in 2002 when I was doing music.
Who is we?
I had this group called Infantry. I was a manager of this hip hop group called Infantry. We had singers, we had rappers, and we did a song called Hot Heat back then. And like I said, we was finna put out this album, and it was one of the songs that was gonna be on the album. We never published it. We never got anything done because I took my hiatus and we never got back together.
Wow.
So when I started writing this book, at the end of this book, I started thinking about, all right, when this book's been finished, I'm going to want to go out to schools and to libraries and talk to kids about the book. And I started thinking about those author talks that I've seen. And some of them was pretty cool. Some of them was really, really boring, but none of them was hidden, right? So I said, what if I come out on stage talking about my book with some banging beats behind it, with some dancers behind me?
Wow.
Them kids gonna be like, dang, I want that book,
Yeah.
So we decided to kick off an EP, which is basically a 6-song soundtrack for the book.
There you go.
And Hot Heat was our first single. And I was in the studio yesterday finishing up stuff. So we got 5 more songs that we're going to add to it. And so Hot Heat was that one. And each song has a little something to do with the book, right? Hot Heat is about like a little club banger. And one of my main characters in the story, he goes to a club with some of his homies. And I ain't going to give it away, but that kind of changes. And it's the turning point of the story. So that's what that song is about, that turning point in his life when he went to that club. So yeah.
Check it out. Hot Heat is a banger.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
It could go today.
Yeah.
Hot Heat. Check it out. But the only way you can check it out is by getting this book and scanning the QR code for it. So I love the tech in the book. I thought that was dope.
Yeah. And it's on Apple, Spotify, and everything. It's on Apple.
So, wow. We'll have to we'll drop the link in the show notes. So you should be able to click in the comment section right here and listen to Hot Heat and find Jaer Armstead-Jones all over. You ought to connect with this gentleman. He is dope people. For sure.
All right.
This is the last opportunity. Any final words as we close out? Final words.
Final words, man. First of all, I really appreciate it. Like, just bringing me on. Our connection is dope by itself. That what we got going, and I'm glad we was able to hook up a few months ago, and it's been nothing but love since then. We working, we grinding. We got the same heart. We just want to see people, strive and do great, wonderful things. greater than what we're doing. You know, that's that heart. We want to see our kids flourish, and we want to see other people's kids flourish as well. And that's what's up.
Well, thank you for coming on the Dope People, Jaer Armstead.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Much
All
love,
the
my brother.
listeners out there, you already know what it is. Until next time, peace.